Well, all right, welcome back to As It Should Be. Paul Bertolino here in the world famous As It Should Be Studios. And well, today I'm going to be doing a track versus track, and I'm going to be doing a band that I have yet to cover in any capacity, I believe, on this channel, The Police. Yeah, I decided it was time to do a Police track versus track. Now, I'm a casual Police fan. I'm not like a fan. I've always been more kind of a singles guy with them, but I go all the way back. I remember when their first albums were coming out, the first singles and the early singles before there was MTV, and seeing all those early videos, Roxanne and Can't Stop Losing You and Walking on the Moon, and all those videos on Pop Clips. And I was a little kid and I was into all that stuff, but I've always been more of a singles guy, less an album guy with the Police. Now, I got the idea to do this. Special shout out to Richard from Calvin Wazoo, the Calvin Wazoo channel, who is also one of the Vinyl Community Gunkles. He kind of recently, a few weeks ago, did a Police track versus track of Regatta de Blanc and Zenyatta, and Ghost in the Machine. And I watched that, and it just put me on this Police jag. I've just been on a Police jag. And really kind of going through the records, and I've been in a Police kind of vibe lately because of that video. Thank you to Richard. And I thought, well, maybe I will put Zenyatta Mondatta against Ghost in the Machine. Yeah, 1980, 1981, right? And third album, fourth album. And yeah, I think they have the same. Yes, they both have 11 tracks, right? Yes. The first album has 10. Synchronicity has 10, I believe, right? And then everything in the middle has 11. So it's pretty easy to do track versus tracks with the Police. And, well, let's get started. All right. Okay. All right. Well, as always, I have ranked the tracks. I've ranked all the tracks on the album, and that's how I'm putting them against one another, from what I have at number 11 all the way up to what I have at number 1. And, what I have at number 11, coming in number 11 on Zenyatta, is Voices Inside My Head. And, it's just, it's an instrumental. The Police have a lot of instrumentals. They were really into doing instrumentals. Those, unless they're really special, instrumentals tend to go low in my rankings, and this is no exception. And oddly, what's really weird about that is on the hype sticker for this. That's one of the tracks they mention. Like, that's going to be a big selling point. The random instrumental on the album. That's what you want this album for. I don't know. Maybe it's supposed to be single. I don't know. I don't think it was. Anyway, that goes up against what I have at number 11 on Ghost, which is One World, Not Three. And, it's a ska track. I mean, this is the Police we're talking about, especially the earlier days. A lot of reggae-ish songs, a lot of ska tracks. And, well, they're getting away from that, on Ghost in the Machine, but still, there's a ska track, One World. And anyway, what do I choose between Voices Inside My Head and One World? Well, that's kind of tough, because neither of those are favorites, in case you can't tell by where I put them. The thing is that One World is actually a song, but I don't like that song. I'm going to go with Voices Inside My Head. I don't normally go with the instrumental, but I'm going to do that in this case. Oh, forgot to get my, my bracelet's caught in my jacket here. All right, got to get the scorecard here. All right, so, Zenyatta, Ghost. Okay, and the first one goes to Zenyatta. Okay. All right, so coming in at number 10 on Zenyatta is The Other Way of Stopping. Yeah, which is another instrumental on this album, with this one written by this is Stewart. Stewart wrote that one, right? Yeah, and he got the title from a Bob Newhart routine. But anyway, so number 10 goes up against number 10 on Ghost, which is Hungry for You. Yeah, this one, it's kind of, a little bit samey. It seems one of those tracks that seems like it's just an A section over and over and over and over and over again, like it never changes to anything. The vocals are a little low in the mix. Not a favorite. But against the other way of stopping, I don't dislike the song. I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with "Hungry for You." So that's right out of the gates, tie there. Okay. So coming to number 9 on Zenyatta is "Behind My Camel," which is the second track on side 2, an instrumental written by Andy, and it's actually kind of weird. Andy's good for like a lot of weird, like he's good for a weird track. Every time he comes in, it's always these really weird guitar parts, and his stuff is the weirdest. Of course, from what I understand, Sting hated that track so much that he didn't even play on it. That's Andy on bass, but I don't think it's bad for an instrumental. I mean, it's kind of see, the thing about instrumentals is that I find oftentimes they don't go anywhere. And this one is at least kind of interesting because it's so weird. So I don't know. I don't think it's bad. But that goes up against what I have at number 9 on Ghost, which is "Darkness," the final track on the album. And, Stewart wrote that song. And this one kind of is, they're finally starting to get more into the proper 80s vibes. Those earlier 80s albums, the early 80s, I feel like 79, 80, 81 kind of was its own era. And then you start getting to 80, sometime in 82 is when like the 80s kind of start to come in. And this is sort of the beginning of that for the Police. You have synths on this, and it's just a little bit more, it just has that 80s vibe in a way that you kind of haven't really gotten from them yet. But I think it's a pretty good song. And but that goes up against "Behind My Camel." That's easy. I like "Behind My Camel," but I'm going with "Darkness." All right. So, coming in number 8 on Zenyatta, "Shadow in the Rain." Yeah, "Shadow in the Rain," kind of a mid-tempo reggae-ish tune. It's kind of has an echoey vocal, and it's kind of a weak tune that doesn't really go anywhere. But I mean, it's okay. It's all right. It's okay. But that goes up against what I have at number 8 on Ghost, which is "Omega Man." And this is kind of a driving rocker, written by Andy, and that one's way better. That's way better. That's no contest. That goes to Ghost. Yeah. Okay. Wow. At first it looked like they were going to kind of go neck and neck, but Ghost to suddenly start wiping the floor. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so coming at number 7 on Zenyatta, "Bombs Away." Yeah, the last track on side 1, written by Stewart, and it's just kind of a good, kind of straight ahead kind of Stewart track, not overtly, reggae-ish. And that goes up against what I have at number 7 on Ghost, which is "Secret Journey," which was oddly, that was a single. It was a flop single. It didn't chart or anything, but yeah, that came out as a single. That's so weird. But what do I prefer, "Secret Journey" or "Bombs Away"? Yeah, it's actually pretty easy. I'm going "Bombs Away." Yeah. All right. Okay, all right, so number 6. What I have at number 6 on Zenyatta, "Man in a Suitcase." Yeah, "Man in a Suitcase," which is sort of the the B-level Canary in a coal mine. Yeah, I mean, it's a ska tune, but it's like it's a weaker Canary in a Coal Mine. I mean, I like the track fine, but, let's be real here. But that goes against what I have at number 6 on Ghost, which is "Too Much Information," the opening track on side 2. Yeah, it's really upbeat and dancey and horn-driven. Like, this could be a Prince song. I feel like Prince could have done this song anytime from 81 to 85, easily. Like, it totally sounds like Prince song. And it's, it's a little repetitive, but it's really good. And so "Man in a Suitcase" against "Too Much Information." Oh, that's a little tough. I feel... You know what? I'm going to go "Too Much Information." I don't know. I think the fact that it stands out a little bit more it doesn't sound like any of the others. It sounds a little different, from the other songs. And like I said, it has that Dancy Prince vibe. Man in a Suitcase is kind of like, oh, well, there are other Police songs that sound exactly like this. I'm going to go with that one. All right. So coming in number 5. Coming in number 5 on Zenyatta is Da Doo 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 Da 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 Da. Now, this song, I remember when this song first started playing on the radio, and I'm, how old am I? Maybe 11? No, I'm about 10. This came out in 80, so I was 10. And I thought, I'm sure I'm not the only one, I thought they were saying goo goo goo, ga ga ga. That's what I thought. So I'm a kid, and I liked the Police. And this was the first time I heard a Police song that I didn't like. I'm like, oh God, I hated it. I couldn't stand it. Goo goo goo, ga ga ga, which is what I thought they were saying. And even when I realized that's what they weren't saying, I don't know, I just for the longest time, I didn't like it. Now I like it because it's become a little nostalgic. I like the song way more than I ever have, but in 1980, hated it. But that goes up against what I have at number 5 on Ghost, which is Rehumanize Yourself. Rehumanize Yourself. Yeah, oh man, Rehumanize Yourself is one of those tracks that wasn't a single, but you heard it on the radio. I mean, pretty much, if you grew up in the 80s, especially in the early 80s, and you didn't even have this album, you've heard this song, Rehumanize Yourself. And, but what do I prefer? Do-do-do-do, da-da-da-da, or Rehumanize Yourself? Yes, it's a little tough. Rehumanize Yourself is kind of like an early version of Synchronicity, Rehumanize Yourself, Rehumanize Yourself, Synchronicity. Yeah. I'm gonna go goo 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 ga 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 because that song's really grown on me over time, and there's the nostalgia factor. It takes the edge for that. Okay, all right. So coming to number 4 on Zenyatta, Canary in a Coal Mine. Yeah, now this is some good and proper ska, like Total Madness, One Step Beyond. Live your life, Canary in a Coal Mine. Yeah, great song. Great song. And that goes against what I have at number 4 on Ghost, which is Demolition Man. Yeah, Demolition Man. Now this song, the very first version of this song that I actually ever heard was the Grace Jones version. Yeah, I initially knew this was a Grace Jones song. I didn't even know it was a Police song. And then I started hearing this other version, and you're like, who is that? Is that the Police? Oh shit, this is a Police song. Yeah, I didn't realize. And I always kind of liked the Grace Jones version more. Maybe because I heard that one first, but yeah, I don't know. But I still like it enough. I mean, I put it at number 4 here on this list. So, I mean, I put it above Rehumanize Yourself. All right? And, but man, Canary in a Coal Mine, effortlessly. No problem. And Demolition Man is great, but come on, Canary in a Coal Mine, destroys it. All right, so number 3 on the Zenyatta, I have Don't Stand So Close to Me. Now, Don't Stand So Close to Me is the opening track, and I believe it was the first single that came out from that album, right? Now, as opposed to Do-Do-Do-Da-Da-Da, when that song started hitting, when Don't Stand So Close to Me started hitting the radio, oh my God, I loved that song. That was one of my favorite. If I did a favorite singles of 1980 and just did as I liked them in 8, did an actual list like I would have done in 1980, that would have been probably top 3. That was one of my favorite songs of that year. I loved that song. I think I had the single, but also I'm pretty sure I probably, before I had the single, put the little tape recorder up against the radio speaker and recorded it. Or maybe I didn't do that. I probably recorded it on a proper cassette recorder. But I recorded it on a cassette from the radio. So for a while I had that. Then I had the single. But I remember sitting with it and listening closely and writing down all the lyrics. I was really into that song. I only have it at number 3 now because I ended up kind of burning myself out on it. It doesn't really... Yeah, just it kind of lost its luster for me over time. But I listened to it, and it's like, man, it's still a really great song. One of my favorite parts about this is when you have the first verse where Sting is kind of singing his lower register, young teacher, the subject. But I love how in the second verse he comes in with his high voice. Oh man, and I love that, the way that just like you're not expecting that, and he comes in with the high voice, and always loved that. But anyway, going up against what I have at number 3 on Ghost, which is Invisible Sun. Oh, woo, hoo, man. Now I'm going to tell you this. In the 80s, it would have been no contest. I would have gone Don't Stand. But now, easily, no contest, I go Invisible Sun. Yeah, oh, fuck. Invisible Sun is a great one. Oh my god. I almost want to say that was the very first song I heard from this record. I feel like when this record just came out, I think that's the first one I heard. I don't know. Maybe I'm probably misremembering. I don't know. But great track. All right. Well, anyway. What I have at number 2 on Zenyatta. When the world is running down, you make the best of what's still around. Kind of like Rehumanize Yourself. This is another one of those tracks that was not a single, but you heard it on the radio all the time. I mean, you could be easily forgiven for thinking that was a single. From what I understand, or as far as I know, it was never a single. Maybe it was in some other country, but it never was here. I don't think it was in the UK. Maybe it was in Hungary or something. But yeah, but either way, we had it playing on the radio here all the time throughout the 80s. And well, that goes up against what I have at number 2 on Ghost, which is Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. Now I talked about really being kind of a singles guy with the Police, and how I really, yeah, I mean, but I was really only kind of into the earlier period. I was into the early stuff, and then it kind of cut off with da-da-da-da. When that came out, and I was like, ugh, that kind of was it. I just sort of like left the Police behind, and anything that came out after that, I was just like, I just completely it was like turning off a light switch. I just like outgrew them instantly from the da-da-da. And then nothing else was I into at the time. But over time, that later stuff has really grown. I mean, all these singles from like Ghost and Synchronicity, I love all that stuff now. It's really nostalgic for me, but it's also, I think that stuff is now free of the baggage of the time. So I love that stuff so much now. So Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. You saw on MTV every day. It was on constantly, and I was not into it. I mean, I didn't hate it. I just wasn't into it. I love it now. I mean, it's just, listening to that track, it's just like, oh my god, this just takes me back. It absolutely just takes me back. And what do I choose? When the World Is Running Down, or Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. Ooh. Oh, man. Oh, shit, that's hard. That's really hard. That is really hard. When the world is running down. Oh. I know what I have to do, though. I have to go Ghost on that. I have to go Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. Yeah. Oh, both those songs take me back, but Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic just... it's a better song. It really is, and... yeah. Okay. All right, so that brings us to number 1. My number 1 on Zenyatta, Driven to Tears. Yeah, the second track on the album. Driven to Tears. And, almost vaguely Walking on the Moonish. There's certain things about... I mean, it isn't exactly... I don't know, I'm probably really stretching things there, but there's just something about the way the guitar sounds and the tempo of that's almost Walking on the Moonish, but it's not too similar. All right, number 1 on Ghost, Spirits in the Material World, the opening track on the album. Man. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that when that was a current track, when that was a current single and it was a current MTV video, I think I just kind of, it was just there. I didn't dislike it. I wasn't into it. But man, oh man, that just really it hits the spot now. It's just an entirely different animal. But do I prefer that over Driven to Tears? That is the question. Driven to Tears. Oh. It's a thinker. That's so tough. And Driven to Tears, by the way, is also another one of those that wasn't a single, but you heard that on the radio now and again. Probably not as much as When the World is Running Down, but you heard that on the radio at the time. Yeah, I gotta go Spirits of the Material World. I just have to. Oh man, it's so close though. It's so close. Man, okay, well, Ghost definitely took this. Ghost in the Machine has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and Zenyatta Mondatta got 4. Yeah, there you go, yeah. Ghost takes it. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Richard, for the inspiration. Well, also, while I'm throwing shout-outs there, a special shout out to Ralph Vieira of the Almost Human channel. He's the one who started the whole track versus track thing. I completely stole this idea from him, and he was completely cool about it. I salute him. But anyway, so thank you everybody for watching, and maybe thank you for subscribing if you have. But if you haven't, maybe consider subscribing. If you do, click the little bell because of notifications. But be sure and come back on Thursday because Crystal Durant and Tommy Von Voigt are going to be right back here in the world famous As You Should Be Studios. And we're going to continue our Live Albums of the Year series. And this week we're going to be discussing our favorite live albums of 1973. Yeah, so you are going to want to come back for that. I hope I will see you then. Bye.